And welcome back. We had a small brownout at the producer's place. This is back online. This is What's Up Wednesday Part 2, Return After a Power Outage. All right, and let's bring you back to Tom.
Hello, everybody. See what I am talking about? Technology. It's a wonderful thing as long as it's working. Then it's a paperweight. So let's get back on track here. So when I went through school, everybody was panicked about grades. We just, we worked on it. It was something important to us. And then, of course, we come to today, and unfortunately, grades aren't as important. I mean, you can pass a class with a written paper or a presentation if you're phobic about taking tests, which I guess is a way to deal with it. But boy, you'd have to be really good at it. And think about the time consumption by the professors. They got to read, some of these classes have 140 people in them. You got to read all these things if everybody decides not to take the end of the semester test. And that's one of the things I talked to a couple of the professors about how they manage it. And they do have a lot of AI. I was surprised how much AI is involved, and they'll pass them through there to see if any of them are plagiarized. And there's also a way, and I'll have to talk to Josh after this because he's the Wizard of Oz, as I always say. They have a way to scan it with AI to see if AI wrote it. Isn't that amazing? I'm like, geez, better not put my headset on. They'll find out I only have 3 working brain cells. But that's another story. So now I'm told that all they want to see is the sheepskin like they did in my day. They didn't care about my grades. They just wanted to see the sheepskin. And I guess it's the same way today. They know the shortcomings of the education system. So whether it's a high school diploma or a BA or a master's or I hope PhDs are scrutinized like they were, where you got to go through dissertation and all that stuff. Then again, that could have changed because guess what? I don't have any PhDs in my house yet. I understand my daughter's going for a PhD, but everybody else has their, masters that I paid for, except 2. One has a degree in bartending all over the world, and the other one is attached at his mother's hip. But that's another story. I hope Josh is keeping track of all these other stories so I can go back to him because I'm not. I have to go back and watch the videos and write them down. All right. So I talked to a couple of professors afterwards, and they took a lot of exception with what I said. And, you know, that's understandable because that's their livelihood. I defend my livelihood when I was a chef and an owner. I was very vehement about not having people shit on me about my job or my career choices or my education and things. And that's what they were doing. That, and I understand that. I knew that going in. I was not prepared for the vitriol of some of the professors and some of the students. I mean, real physical, facial, hands clasped, hunched over, very aggressive stance, and very loud and fast talking. All those signs that you say somebody's a little out of control. And I had that a couple of times over the course of this morning. I don't understand that part of it. If this is such a better place to go to school, it's calmer, it's safer, it's all these things. Why? I would say probably close to half the students were very upset about what my opinions were. And they are my opinions. And I have come a long way from saying we've gone down the wrong road, this whole internet thing and data and everything should be kept out of school. And I mean, I was a real, you know, I wasn't right wing, I was right tip of the wing. But over the years, the last 2 years, learning how to work a cell phone, learning how to work a computer, getting on the internet, which I failed so many times. I've been permanently kicked off of Twitter and probably have 5 Instagram accounts and 5 Facebook accounts because I absolutely didn't know what the hell I was doing. And when things got too heated, I would abandon that one and open up a new one. So that was an old guy's way of dealing with. I didn't understand trolls. I didn't understand people who have not only their, but they have bots. So I got a real education on bots today. A young lady had her laptop and she popped it open and showed me what to look for and all that. So that was very interesting, and I got an education. Of course, they all had, speak slower. Don't yell at us so much. We don't like that. You yell too much, we turn off the video because you know why? Because it's confrontational. And you can guess that the ones that said that are all in the social work program. You're getting their master's degree in social work or psychology or any of those other things that are supposedly going to make life better. I personally, being in law enforcement and also my I had a motorcycle accident that laid me up for 39 months, and then of course dissection 12 years ago, almost 13. My life has changed a great deal. So I've looked for help and I've found people, found much more that didn't know their ass from an elbow. But I did find some people that were excellent and they didn't ask the standard questions that were come right out of Carl Jung's book or, you know, some kind of psychologies today. They asked personal, direct questions. And I love people like that. People are not afraid to ask that question even though they don't know what the answer is or where it's coming from, but they're ready to accept whatever you say. That's a good therapist. That's a good person that you can speak freely and openly, and then they give their honest opinion back, and they make you see something else, another way of looking at things, because that's what we are. We're human beings. We get set in our ways. I'm 73 years old. I had concrete steps I carried around because I wasn't going to change my opinion. And I would climb the steps and scream it at the top of my lungs because I was right. Well, as you get older, you realize you're not right. You can't carry the steps around. You can't even climb up on them. So you better learn to have an 8-minute conversation. How to have a conversation without arguing. Now, the reason why I teach and preach and tell everybody that I can possibly tell about the eights. I mean, 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours of work. 8 hours is something you enjoy, whether it's sitting there watching TV, some old Western movie or some John Wick shoot 'em up movie, whether you're picking your toes or picking your nose, I don't care. But that and eight work, but you can extend it. If you can't say what's on your mind in 8 minutes, you're just repeating yourself. You're doing it because one, you don't really believe it, so you got to say it over again. You're double emphasizing them. And a lot of people are just shooting off stuff that they heard on the internet. Do that. Anybody who repeats themselves either within the 8 minutes or slightly after, you can tell that they're regurgitating something somebody else said or they read or they watched a video. So that's why I limit everybody to 8 minutes. I got this really neat timer. Somebody gave it to me last week. It's a chicken, and you just hit the head, and it goes to 8 minutes. Now you can set it on the bottom. You can hit the head, and it could be 10 minutes or 15, whatever. So I set it at 8, and it's great. I hit it, and it cock-a-doodle-doos, and after the 8 minutes, it's cock-a-doodle-doos again, and you're done. And it's that physical, weird interaction. And people, they're watching the clock too, just like I am. And so they're cleaning up what they're saying. as they're saying it because they don't want to go over. Because at least with me, it's considered rude. Now you can ask for more time, and we can give you 2 more times as a group, 2 more minutes as a group. But not most people don't get that 2 minutes. They just they just that sucks to be you if you can't get it out in 8 minutes. So the eights in your life from this point on to whenever are very important. Now I lived for 73 years. I used to work 10, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. Whether I was law enforcement or I was owner of a bar or restaurants, we owned 9 of them. We worked every one of them. We sold every one of them. I was a chef in every one of them. I, you know, I was that quintessential 1980s, 90s chef before Emerald and their Food Network came out. I made a ridiculous amount of money, plus I got 4% of the gross. I know this is not going to make sense to you, but look it up, Google it. I got 4% of the gross, not the net. Big difference. If you don't know that, I hope you never go in business for yourself. And then all of a sudden, the Food Network's on, and we have all these wonderful personalities, as I call them. They're not chefs, they're personality. They might have been chefs at one time, but they developed this persona. And it, to be honest with you, it was quite entertaining. I watched them all the time, and I had them on the TV. We turn the TV off just before we get busy, and we turn it back on when we're cleaning up at the end of the night and watch the Food Network and laugh. The only problem was I had to put a piece of plexiglass in front of it because guys were throwing meatballs at it and spoons and things because some of the stuff, and I don't mean this derogatory, I mean just mean you see some of the stuff these chefs on TV are doing, and it just makes you laugh because nobody has that kind of time to prepare one meal. You got to have your skills a lot better than what they're doing. And then other ones were fantastic. I learned a lot from just watching these guys, because I always tell people, even though you might be 70 years old, and you know how to do things, but look it up on YouTube. It's like outlets. It's like switches. The new switches are the new outlets. Are so much easier to put in than when I used to do it. Plumbing. There is nothing I was taught back in the 60s with my dad about plumbing that's true now. First of all, we used to do copper all the time. We never did anything else but copper. Now we do Plex. Now we do 3 different connections. Now we have regulators and things, inline regulators, so your pressure stays up and everything goes together. It's like click and play. It's amazing. I'm like, so I watch videos. If I got to go out there and screw the birdhouse to the shed, because we feed the birds over the winter, not in the summertime. Plenty of food in the summertime, but in the wintertime up here in upstate New York, it gets cold and there's usually a couple of feet of snow on the ground. So got to take care of the birds, right? So I put food out through the whole winter for the birds. So if I got to put that up, like I did for many years, I had all these feeders built and I just put them on the sheds or posts or around the backyard so I could sit on the back porch and watch the birds. Yeah, I know that makes me sound really strange because you're playing video games while I'm watching the birds. To each his own, right? Stop picking on me. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Benny. And you're sitting on my couch with a cup of coffee balancing on your knee. It's distracting. Don't do that. I have a little bit of an audience. I have 5 guys that are waiting to play poker. I told them I'd give them 2 hours of poker time after this was over. They're actually behaving themselves pretty well. For some reason, my wife got this champagne color couch with the wooden accents on it. It's like something from the 22s. I mean, from the 1920s. And she says, this will look great. You'll be sitting at your desk and you'll have your guests on the couch. I said, I'm not a therapist. This is not the brain hour or the focus on mental illness. Although everybody that shows up at my house has some degree of mental illness. It's the only way you can get into my house. And that includes the little chirps. Guess what? It's well past the time and none of the chirps showed up. So I don't have anybody except me and the dog. Oh, and the guys here from Dunkin' Donuts. Oh, yeah, did I tell you Friday? Friday is Friday's a big day for us. Everybody should clap. Everybody should just go crazy. Now, Josh thinks it's about Friday night talk, but I'm talking about lunch with the guys. And this time we're going to Cracker Barrel. Why? Because they have two of the best lunch waitresses there, and not not to just be mercenary, but they're hot and they know how to talk and they flirt with us and old guys love young girls flirting with them. It isn't going anywhere. Both parties know that, but it keeps us in some psychological realm of being young. That's another story. You're writing this stuff down, Josh. Anyway, I'm like, we've got about 14 minutes. So let me just wrap this up like I like to do at the end. Education has changed. For the good or the bad, I don't know. Because other than what people tell me and what I see in raw footage and in interaction with people of different ages, I hope that they're making a better world. And within making it a better world, the education, the physical education of math and sciences and cultural related studies and things that make us better people and do a better job and have a better life and be successful. I hope that's the end result of this. So, what I'm going to do, and I decide this, I'm going to choose to say it will get better. As we get down the road, people are going to say, well, all well and good about the safe zone, but we need to have these people educated. They can't get a $70,000 a year job and not know anything about the job or how to do it. And to figure they're going to have a corner office with a vice president's tag and $100,000 a year job if you don't know anything. I mean, maybe like Twitter is a classic example. Elon Musk bought it, fired 80% of the people. He's running with 20% of the people, and it's expanding. You understand this? That company was so bloated that 80% of the people, I'm sure some of that 80% were workers, but 90% of them spent all day playing video games. Or if they are on remote, nobody knows what they were doing. So that's the society we're in. We have politicians out of control bringing money. We have people in office that are just figureheads. And they have these PACs and these lobbyists and all these people behind them telling them what to do and how to vote. And these are our friends and these are our enemies. You see what I mean? They're professional politicians. They have it all in a nice ball. However, that ball, because they owe everybody and they've been manufactured and molded into this tight ball of what all the PACs and lobbyists and all the other people, venture capitalists want. So that, they get voted in by sheer strength of money and advertising because, you know, people go in, and at least the friends I have, and they look for the D's and they vote for all the D's, the Democrats, or they go in and vote for all the Republicans, or you get the one that does the hopscotch. They don't care who they're voting for. They just hopscotch down the page. And when they put it into the thing, it says, oh, you voted for two people on this line. See attendant. And the attendant puts a piece of tape or a sticker on the one you didn't mean to punch. And runs it through the machine. Now, I want to caution you, now that I've said that, I don't want you to think I changed my mind. I think voting should be done one day. If not, we're going to have all these problems. Now, it feels terrible for the people in Western North Carolina. But where are all those votes? They were voting for 2 weeks prior to the hurricane going through. The voting commissioners are meeting in a FEMA trailer. And I'm not talking about a 40-foot or 45-foot. I'm talking about a 20-foot camping trail that FEMA dropped off them. A friend of mine lives out that way, and he was sending me photographs and a short video about, he was talking to one of the poll workers or one of the future poll workers on the one day we do vote, which is like 11 and a wake up or 10 and a wake up. It's important. You may not think it's important. You may think it's the least worst. You may think that your one vote doesn't count. You know what's scary about that? Is enough people say they can't fathom how their vote counts. Say that and then don't vote. And then complain about the people that are in office. You have no dog in the fight. I mean, if you vote for Mr. Peabody and Mr. Peabody doesn't do what you want, you vote him out and vote in Mr. Bojangles. And after 2 years or 4 years or 6 years, he didn't do what you wanted or what he said he was going to do, which is even worse. Vote him out. You don't need term limits. People already have term limits in their votes. What's corrupted that is obviously the amount of money that's in politics now. But if we keep voting the people who will love to spend our money out, sooner or later we'll get to the point where we'll have enough people in there that know what they're doing that we can get rid of the PACs and all that. Because remember, the PACs are fairly new and their influences. We're only going back to like late 80s, 90s when the PACs were formed and the government changed their rules. No, the American people can't give more than X number of dollars, but PACs can give you millions. Unsupervised, unregulated PACs. So they're buying our elections. And some of these PACs don't even belong in the United States. They're not registered. They're all registered here, but they're not from here, like Chinese, Russian, Iranian. Iranians all have PACs. Did you know that? American Muslims. It's amazing to me. Did they think this was going to be a good idea to let unregulated money into the voting system? Who sat down in the halls of Congress or the Senate and said, "Oh, we got a great idea. We're going to fund the election with money from people who want things and give them more power than the American people who needs things." You understand? We, the people. That's what government's about, the people. And then they've been grabbing with both hands, take over everything. Look at abortion. When I brought this up, people were fainting because I was saying to them, if this state has abortions and you're pro-abortion, move to that state. If you like making pies and the pie capital of the world is Pennsylvania, move to that state. If you're into crafting, move to the crafting state. If you're into arguing, go down to Florida. There's enough old people to argue with in Florida that you'll be dead long before they're finished arguing. You see, it's a little bit of an exaggeration, but I'm trying to make a little light of this because it's so serious and nobody's paying attention to it. And once again, I'm going to take some of the responsibility for that. Everybody has to, all the generations, because we let it go slowly, and they had the ability to outlast us and had the ability to focus the change slowly enough that it just all of a sudden it was there like a big monster that came out of the closet at 2 a.m. in the morning. I hope you guys watched Monsters Inc. It's a great movie. If you watch Monsters Inc. for the second time, you will see they're not talking about scaring people in the bedroom. They're talking about greater society. But that's another story. We could do a movie review on that. I could do the whole hour on that one. Anyway, so we've got about 5 minutes left, and I want to really say something important to you. And it is important. If you don't get anything out of this video, get this. Vote, vote, vote. That way you have a dog in the fight. You have exercised the main right of every American. The only important right you have is to vote. No, it's not to drive a car better than the neighbor's car or a bigger house, you know, or having an affair with your secretary or going off to Cancun where you can get listeria and all those other diseases from the water, and, you know, whatever. People, it's your responsibility as an American. And for you that are saying, well, it's a democracy, and in a democracy, you can't vote, you can't force anybody to vote. Once again, you pledge allegiance to the republic, not to the democracy. I posted videos. I've done presentations to history classes in high schools. We are a republic. As much as the talking heads on news and like, what was her name from the other video? Mary Jo, whatever her name. Green. Last name was Green. Anyway, if you've got to understand that a democracy puts the government in control. A republic puts the people in control. It's this, there's all this minutia about the difference between a democracy and a republic. But believe me, the main difference is who's in control. Right now, they use democracy and they never say republic because the people who are in control since late 80s, 90s, they were career politicians, treat it like their own piggy bank. So if you brought in the rules of the republic as they were originally written, that wouldn't happen. Because even the little guy has a voice. But in a democracy, it's just the majority. And what these amazing, and they are amazing, people who put basically an investment firm together to invest in one client. You understand? So that's how they're changing everything. All they have to do is change that one person. They make the law and everybody's got to follow along. You understand? Well, that's not how you do it in a republic. A republic needs the people to agree, not just the representatives or the senators. All right. Josh has given me his finger, so I guess I got to go. Like, subscribe, comment, share. I'm going to tell you, it's amazing. I am impressed. The guys sitting here, gnashing their teeth, ready to set up the poker table. So I have that pressure on me. Josh, the Wizard of Oz, I thank you again for giving me this opportunity and keeping me under control. We'll have to see what this more calmer, sedate Tom did compared to the other things. Josh, come on. Final
I
words.
have thoughts on not going hard. I think that there's a space for it, and I think that how do I put this? Diplomatic communication should only be entered into when both parties have decided to finish yelling at each other, right? And so
Good.
they
Good.
have not been listening and they are still not listening. And it's interesting to me that even though these people have been mistaught history, they're not willing to hear or look up any further interests. Okay, and
Good
so
point.
it especially when it comes to history, like if you understand that the victors are the ones who write history, that's a place where we're taking all history from.
Yes.
But what bothers me is when somebody says, and the means with which their victory was attained shall be tainted. And it's like, you only have a snapshot. There are,
Right.
just like today, and the world is the same way it's always been today. There is turmoil, there is war, there is famine. This is never going to change. This is life. And
That's
so
correct.
to take a snapshot of how something evolved into what the United States is today and say that they did it disgracefully, it is preposterous for me to take that into account and go,
Okay.
we're the greatest country on the planet. How are you? You are insane. It's crazy to me.
Okay.
History should be cherished.
I think that we're in turmoil. And when we come out the other side, let's give it a time limit 18 months to 2 years. I think America is going to be quite changed. We're going to lose the financial control of the world. It's going to go into Bitcoin, which is not controlled in America. If you think it is, you better look it up. And let me wrap it up because I got to get out of here and play poker. I have priorities in my life too. Just be reasonable and think this through. Watch the video again, take notes. Get back to me. If there's anything grossly out of place with what I said, point it out to me. Change my mind. I'm open to anybody's opinions and suggestions and directions. Doesn't mean I'm going to take it. It just means I'm open to it and I will give it value and see if it changes or I remain the same old person set in their ways. But I'm not. It's amazing the last 2 years how I've come out of my. You have to remember, I was a chef. I was the leader of the orchestra. I came in, I was a worker. And then if we opened up the kitchen at 4 o'clock, everything changed. Now I was the orchestra leader. There's no other voices in the kitchen but mine. The only voice I want to hear is yes, chef, delay, chef, chef on time, chef walking this dish, chef, I got 4 other dishes to walk. That's all I want to hear. I don't want to hear about your girlfriend or last night's adventures or how much you drank or why you're throwing up in my garbage can in the middle of the rush. I want you to work and I want you to do it my way and I want it to be organized so nobody gets hurt. So the food is perfect so that it gets out hot on a hot plate, not serving my eggs on a cold plate. Skylark Diner. Come on, you're serving eggs. They got to be on a hot plate. If you're serving eggs on a cold plate, what good are you? Did I get off on that right? Oh, God. Bye. Love you guys. Gonna see you soon, one way or the other. I'm gonna be at your house probably. All right. Take care. God bless. Josh, thank you again. Remember, support our agencies that are doing good work and do an act of kindness. It'll make you feel good and it'll help somebody else out, even if it's a small act of kindness. God bless. Bye.